I remember giving him my business card. I was one of the few caddies that had a business card. I had my name on the back of my shirt. So I was like, hey, it's Fish, just in case you forget. I have a number back there too, number 3. And he was like, who are you? And I was like, I'm a player assistant. I don't go by caddy. I'm here to like help you with performance, nutrition. I could stretch you out. I got a physiotherapist background. Like I was kind of like letting him know, like I'm just more than a caddy. And
were caddies doing this at that time?
No, I wanted to kind of change the standard of that. I think my father gave me some really good advice. When I told him I didn't have the experience needed to be a good caddy, he was like, well, trade experience for skills. Bring a tremendous amount of skills to the table. Like, what would you want out of a caddy? If you were going to hire a caddy, what would you want them to be able to do? You know, other than just carry a bag, keep up, and shut up.
Yeah, especially if they're writing a check. I mean, that's a good thing to sell. Is like, hey, you're not just writing me a check to stand with you and golf with you and kind of just carry your bag, but I can actually improve your performance in all of these wide varieties of different ways.
Absolutely.
This is way before your like the time of this human optimization and functional like movement and all this stuff that's taken place. Is that something that you enjoyed at a young age? You said you had a phys ed kind of degree, so you've always been passionate about the physiology of the body?
Super passionate. My dad tried to have me like build a computer with him. Boring. You know, he had me like take apart a car for a summer. Not my favorite summer as a child. But the human anatomy, that lit me up. You know, pay attention to the things that just kind of just bring so much excitement. Now, I can't tell you why. And maybe that's some past life regression. I don't know. But I can tell you when I'm like, oh yeah, well, that's because the distal attachment is on the lesser trochanter of the femur. Like, and I'm just like, what? Like, I don't even know that. Like, how am I? It's like I speak a different language. Like I understand things about the body very easily. I don't even speak Latin. So it just came very natural to me. I took anatomy and physiology in college, and it just was one of those subjects that came easily.
So this is a real differentiator when you're pitching yourself to court. Was it this specific golfer that you asked?
Yeah, Jeff Overton. At the time. He goes on to become actually a really good player. He ends up becoming a Ryder Cupper, which is really impressive. Not with me, but I did start him on that journey. So
how long were you with him for?
I had to pursue him longer than it wasn't like a one-night stand kind of thing. You know, I had to he did not give me the job. He played hard to get. So I went to the next tournament, and I believe one more tournament after that, maybe Boise. And I gave him my card again. He's like, you're relentless. I was like, I want this. And he's like, I don't even know you. And I'm like,
let's go on a date. Let's get to know each other.
Yeah, let's get to know.
I'll wear my makeup and everything.
I was just like, hey, you're in Boise, Idaho. Who do you know here? Nobody. You know me, though. You see me 3 weeks straight. And he was like, that is true. Yeah, I had built some type of familiarity.
Yeah.
And so he gave me the job that week. I'll never forget, not in person. He walked away. He called me. He walked away, probably called his agent, made sure his agent couldn't caddy for him. Then he called me. He's like, it's your lucky day. You're going to be caddying for Jeff Overton. And I'm like, is he speaking to himself in third person right now? But I was just so elated that I'm like, hey, you won't regret it. I'll be the best girlfriend / caddy you've ever had. So I was just, I was so excited for this. I remember just I'll be there. I'll see you on Monday. And just hanging up the phone and just the equivalent of what a cartwheel. I can't do cartwheels or anything like that, but backflips. But it was exploding inside. I went after something. It took me some time, but I got my first opportunity to be with a good player. This isn't even a PGA Tour.
So this is your first caddy job?
No, it's not my first caddy job. I took a couple of caddy jobs. I didn't get paid a couple of times.
More like side jobs, is trying to get more experience. But this is your first player.
This is my first player that's got potential. Yeah. So I've I'm on the slowest horse, kind of thing. And now I've actually got a horse that can move. It's young. It's got some potential.
Yeah, and you get an opportunity to train him as well, not just caddy for him. So what is that process like? You show up on Monday. How do you build that relationship, and what is the actual role of a caddy throughout, not just showing up, I'm sure, during game time, but actually cultivating that relationship? What is that like?
Yeah, well, so you have to understand, he doesn't know what that's like, and nor do I.
That's the best case scenario.
So we're just we're trying to feel our way to like golf first base, if you will. I'm trying to figure out exactly, I mean, does he even like me? And can I even be myself? And I will tell you, he's like, these are the 3 things that I like. And he like lets me know what those 3 things are. And I'm like, I will do these religiously. And
what were those 3 things? Do you remember?
Well, it was very strange. He liked to have the cap on every one of these players has their own quirks. He liked to have the cap just barely off, like not tighten the full way this on the water. Cap on the water, just
like a half twist, so it doesn't
half
fall
twist.
off.
Yeah, because he would twist off and then he would twist it back on. It was almost like a nervous kind of. He would just barely, not even sip it, but pretend to, and then twist back on. It was like a nervous kind of tick that he had.
And he'd do it so like before a shot, like when you're walking up to the ball and he wanted it to drink of water, you'd give him that way, and he would do this. Is it before every shot?
Not quite, but pretty regularly.
Yeah, wow.
And which is great because it lets me know how I need to show up. The other one was very strange. It was like most caddies will keep the bag very close to the ball and the player until the club is chosen, and then they'll move the bag. He liked the bag really close to the ball, like almost like, is this legal? Like being this close? It looked like it might have even like been like a training to keep him on, like a training aid to keep him on the right plane. I didn't know, I don't know any of the rules. So I'm like, how legally, how close am I supposed to be? So, I mean, what was really cool, and I want to actually share a little story. It was like the second hole that we're playing. I'll never forget it. He's like, hey, where do I go here? And I've never been here before. So I'm like, oh, here? Yeah, no problem. Let's see here. Let me pick something really good. Okay, that tree in the distance. See that tree? And he can tell I'm kind of like not very confident. He's like, yeah, I see the tree. I was like, yeah, okay, good. Okay, that tree just to the right of it, that's a perfect target line. And then I step away and don't say anything. He's just like, all right, okay. And so he hits his shot and he hits this thing off the planet to the right. It's a huge slice, goes out of bounds. Wait, he comes back to the bag and he's like, don't you ever tell me to hit it right. He's like, there's your right. That's what happens when you tell me right. He's like, don't put directions in my mind. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't realize like that would be a problem. Okay, all right, well, it's good to know. So I'll never forget it because the next hole, he asks me again. And I'm thinking like, I thought we already had this conversation. I thought you were just going to, do your own thing for a while. But so now there's a lot. My heart is racing. I've never had so much trepidation, like just to speak to someone. Like every word you say is like, it matters.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I get up to the ball and he's like, what do I do? And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. It's probably my first, inception to like breath work.
Regulating your nervous system.
Okay. So you just see that tree out there? I'm like shaking. See that tree out there? He's like, yeah, I see that tree. I'm like, yeah, okay. Just hit it to the outside of the tree. Just gesture just to the right of it with a gesture, And I see him like, okay. And he just stripes it exactly where I want. I'm like, oh, I cracked the code. And we had lots of turmoil throughout our time together, but I will say he made it through the qualifying school, which is a huge deal. And he's like, you've done a great job for me. I'm going to give you the first 5 events on the PGA Tour. That was just like, wow, so cool.
You made it.
Yeah, he made it. Yeah, he made it first year out.
Wow. And you got a chance to be on the PGA Tour. How old were you at this point? How long did that process take?
Yeah, I probably turned 24, during that process.
Wow. So within a year of having this story told you, this vision of wanting to be on the PGA Tour, you have
8 months.
Wow.
I even had a few caddies come over to me in Hawaii, which is the first event of the regular season, and say, hey, just so you know, a lot of us have spent years getting here. Just remember that. And I'm not sure what that really meant, but I had that energy pushed on me by other caddies. They're veterans. They're like 50, and they've been on the tour off and on, or maybe this is their first time ever making it. And I'm like, damn, there's some interesting energy.
Yeah, they probably, spent years of their life, if not longer, to accomplish this dream of being on the PGA Tour where you got to do it in 8 months.
Yeah, but what do I know?
Is that a part of the culture of golf? Is there that like real like hard to get in, but once you're in, you got to earn the respect?
Definitely the first part. I don't even know if the second part even comes.
Yeah, if you never earn respect, just because there's always this, because it's an individual sport, so there's always this like energy of competition.
There is. I mean, even the golf instructors who come out on tour to help the players, let's just say, a big name player is hitting balls. You think the golf instructor who's a little further back would be like, hey, just move that ball back in your stance. Doesn't. Walks over to the player and gets right in his ear. Whispers whatever he says. Makes it look very like elusive, or like maybe even like, are you trying to be smarter than you are? I mean, as a caddy, you're in earshot of everything, so you hear it all. So you are the gatekeeper of all the secrets, all the things that are said. And it's not like the NFL where you can mic up the entire like arena. You can only ask players if you can mic them up. And when you do, and when they say yes, because they're members of the PGA Tour, when they say yes, you best believe they don't say anything interesting. They know they're mic'd up. There's nothing being said that's of value.
What is some of the stuff that you've heard say that would be interesting? All the above?
These are humans. These are human beings out there, and there's something that obviously there's, we put on airs, but like golfers are just, they're hardly ever showcased. Like all that you see is just them hitting the shot. You hardly even hear the exchange and the dialogue between the caddy. They're starting to do that more because that's a fascinating interaction. And I think that they should do that more.
Yeah, as a fan, that's what I'm like curious about is like what are those conversations like and how did that evolve over time?
You're gonna love this.
Yeah.
I am a very like, if I have just sunken my teeth into something, I'll own it. And I went to a spy shop and I purchased one of those microphones that you can aim towards someone and listen in on their conversation. This is prior to like any kind of recordings that happen. And I followed Tiger and Stevie the entire round. I got my microphone, I got my headphones, and I'm like pointing it toward them. I'm trying to hear their conversation because I want to know what is said between them.
And this is the intention of this is for you as a caddy to learn what the great caddies are doing, great players are doing, so that you can improve as a caddy. Is that
exactly?
Yeah.
Because every time that I ask a great caddy, how did you become great? They don't have a 12-step process to sell me. The truth of the matter is that, they weren't saying anything that I wasn't saying. A great caddy doesn't speak much. And I also learned that a rookie caddy doesn't speak much either. So there's not a lot of difference. It is actually in how you present and how you say something. And do you show up? They can feel if you know that is the right choice. If I say as a new caddy, I think it's the 7. I like 7. And the word is, you think? Or if it's the 7 all day. There's a big difference, and the caddy player dynamic is a very cultivated energy exchange. And if anything, that has really set the tone for what I do now. Because I was always of the importance of like, hey, if I could just bottle up what caddying is in its essence, it's because it's true support for someone. Like on this golf course, out in the world, nobody cares what you're doing. Nobody's really rooting for you. Not really. They don't really know you. But your caddy out on that golf course is your only companion. Like it's the only person that is out there on that golf course that is fully there to help you win. Like they're your biggest cheerleader. They can be your biggest asset. They can be like, hey, I know you're pissed. Just lean into me and just say everything you need to say. Get it out. And they can just be like, you fucking mother. They can just, you can be that punching bag for them.
Holding space.
holding space before I even knew what holding space was.
Yeah.
And I was like, if every single person could have a caddy, it would ultimately change the world.
Like in life.
100%. If they could have a caddy in life. And I think that's what somatic breathwork's all about.